Preparations are concealed, not published. Its mistakes are buried, not headlined. Its dissenters are silenced, not praised.
Billions of people just living out their lives, oblivious. Choice is an illusion created between those with power and those without.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Thank you, John Larson. I receive your kind words on behalf of all of our courageous members of the House of Representatives who want the best for the American people. And what we can do that is best for them in the next 24 hours is to pass affordable, accessible health care for all Americans. The best for all Americans is to have 32 million more people to have health insurance in our country. The best for...
Piece of stinking filth.
Shh, sitting in shop. This is AJ of the InfoWars. Listen to the Shaliak. This is Alex Jones of InfoWars. Listen to Shaliak on the Cold Reality News and Report.
This is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Well, hello there.
This week on Cold Reality Radio. Marco Rubio has a tough night. Mourn for him, cry for him. He won't be there long. Christie knocks Rubio off balance, calls him a gay Chippendale. Repeats same line 8 times. Trump confronts donors in audience after boos from the evil Bush bloodline family of the Illuminati. Poll says lead grows days before primary. Kasich, I ought to be running in the Democratic primary. They're all interchangeable, folks. They're all human garbage. Garbage. Steinem slammed for saying young women back Bernie to chase boys. Steinem, the CIA operative, who was used to create the feminine female revolution to destroy the U.S. families. Look it up. Iowans claim Sanders shorted the delegates. Lone caucus goers voted Bernie, but Hillary won precinct. She should be in the precinct. The 6th precinct. New England lawyers mobilized to ensure fair vote, right? Voting's a joke in America. It's all criminal. None of it is legitimate at all. But you'll see these stories that say, we have to ensure a fair vote. Clinton looks ahead to her life in a cell. And abroad, crisis hot. Ukraine's economic minister resigns, citing high level of corruption. U.S. and U.K. spy agencies may be allowed to request online chat data and emails from media companies. 65,000 spike in reported radioactivity after tritium leaks at Indian Point nuclear power plant, but you won't hear that on Sleaze BS and AB Sleaze and all the other controlled state-run media outlets. They'll return to their countries in a wooden coffin. Iran, Syria warns Saudis, Turks against ground troops. That and more on today's edition Cold Reality Radio here on the UCY.TV broadcasting network, platform for free speech and reality. There's an information war going on out there, and it is indeed for your mind. Indeed, it is for your mind. We got a full house here. My news team is in there talking about things that need to be discussed. They're writing stories. You might hear something about a purse or a pair of shoes or something in there too, but that's just for the advertisers that I don't have. China harvesting organs from thousands of political prisoners while they are alive. Oh, bro, don't take my kidneys, bro. I'm still like breathing and junk. Yeah, China's up to no good, and America and the West knows about it, but it's all a silly little game. Organ harvesting and selling of hearts and lungs and kidneys and nuts and asses and titties. But, you're never going to hear that on 60 Minutes because they're too busy telling you about the fake war on terror and how, ISIS is running rampant over there and they can do and go wherever they want. Meanwhile, Obama, for a year or a year and a half, just let them run around doing whatever they did, claiming that they were the JV of jihad, when in all reality, they, along with NATO and many other of these sleazebag allies and countries and all around just bad people, that if there is a God, should have smited and fucking bolt of lightning on every single one of them, splitting them in half and burning their brain cells. ISIS is killing and maiming and destroying because they need their proxy army to create the fear that is needed. I know that's not the narrative that you hear in this movie that is called America. But the bottom line here is that it's all a big scam, it's all a big deception, and you are the brunt of the joke. You are the brunt of the joke. Now it's about growing up and putting big boy pants on and big girl pants on and saying, hey, we know this is happening and you need to fucking stop using fake enemies against us to steal our tax money and loot the country through the pirate cove known as the United States of America Corporation. But turns out that there's really next to no men left in America, and the women have been destroyed by fake popular culture and these garbage fucking shows that are on VH1 about baby mamas and basketball stars of this, and I saw you doing this and that on there. I Googled your name and saw your penis on the screen, and and then my daughter doesn't need to be seeing none of what you're doing. My baby mama is a deadly whore. This is the garbage and filth that's being proliferated out into the minds of the American people. And, of course, I will tell you that I will be watching the football game, and I will kind of somewhat enjoy it, but I will also enjoy picking it apart. I will also enjoy analyzing it and grabbing all of the subtle destruction that is going to be in these. It's going to be in there. Like last year's when the father's driving the car commercial where he's driving his daughter off to go to war. Okay, women should not fight in wars. They're nurturers. They are here to nurture and build the human race, which is being destroyed. But you have to destroy the women to then be able to destroy the population, to be able to destroy people's minds, the war against women and how much money they're getting paid as compared to men. It's all strategy of divide and conquer, whether you want to fucking believe it or not. And it gets you off center, it gets you off kilter, so that you don't realize the deception, so that you don't realize that you're being fucked. While they steal from you and lie to you. Like your worst fucking enemy in the world. Just think of the person that has done the most fucking damage to you. Who's lied about you, whether it was in high school or whether it was in middle school or whatever. Maybe there wasn't somebody. Maybe you were beyond reproach or you had no enemies whatsoever, but just imagine somebody that you really, really hated, that did fucking, like, totally might have done something horrible to you. These people are worse than that. The people that you hold grudges against today, maybe family, maybe an old friend, these people that are running this country into the ground and the rest of the world are worse than that. You need to combine with your low-level enemies and say, hey, listen, there's a bigger problem. It's called government. It's called mind control. Gubermente, control, mind control. That's what it means. Government means, to govern means to control. Okay? Just look all this stuff up. Turn off the TV, read a couple books, maybe watch a couple YouTube videos of people like Clint Richardson and a few other people out there that have done the homework for the American people, because they're shoving their phone, into their genitals and up their assholes and all these other fucking things because they love their phone and they can't live without it. All this degeneracy that is a product of the sickness that's being proliferated out there. Hollywood is a fucking disease that should be abolished completely. And if you'd be afraid, where are we going to get our movies, man? Like, where are we going to get our entertainment, man? Like, where and junk? Well, we could create our own film studios. Okay? And if they had violence or different things in there, children wouldn't be able to watch it. Can you imagine the violence that the children are seeing today? I used to go and see fucking movies like Motel Hell, Friday the 13th, Halloween. I had no fucking business being in those theaters. Plus, no child or even human needs to be exposed to any of the violence, okay? Because it changes you. It morphs you into something it changes you from something that you were not supposed, into something that you were not supposed to be. Okay? Changes you into something that you were not supposed to be. Okay, that's why there's all this free pornography and all these other different things that are out there, because it's meant to damage and destroy people's minds about the nature of who we are and what we are. The proliferation of the human race by people with minds that are not scarred by the filth and degeneracy that Hollywood puts out. Okay? So you must unlearn what you have learned. It's key in the development. And life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So let's go ahead, play a little bit of this, and we're going to get into some of the real stories that are going on out there. We're going to talk a little bit about Super Bowl Sunday, which, of course, I am going to watch. And I am going to analyze, and I'm going to see and check to see whether the game's fixed or not, like last year. And then I'm going to talk about it, and we're going to analyze it. We're going to analyze the shit out of it, man. Hold on a second. I need some coffee here, you know what I'm saying? I need some coffee, man, before I listen to Hillary. And that's good Java, man. That's good JavaScript, bro. Filth and degeneracy being proliferated through our population over the years. It's gotten worse. It's getting more degenerate. It's getting more damaging to the young people in mind. And luckily that there's still some good young people out there. And let's try to get them on the right track here. Let's try to get them on the right track. Here we go. We're going to play some of this right here. Let's kick this out. And then we're going to play a little bit of this.
You were against same-sex marriage. Now you're for it. You defended President Obama's immigration policies. Now you say they're too harsh. You supported his trade deal dozens of times. You even called it the gold standard. Now, suddenly last week, you're against it. Will you say anything to get elected?
Well, actually, I have been very consistent over the course of my entire life. I have always fought for the same values and principles.
Do you think New York State should recognize gay marriage?
No.
No. Okay.
I believe that marriage is
not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman. I have not supported same-sex marriage. I have supported civil partnerships and contractual relationships. I support marriage for lesbian and gay couples. I support it personally and as a matter of policy and law.
So you're saying your opinion on gay marriage changed, or you changed your mind?
I have to say, I think you are being very persistent, but you are playing with my words and playing with what is such an
I'm just trying to clarify so I can understand.
No, I don't think you are trying to clarify. I think you're trying to say that, I used to be opposed and now I'm in favor and I did it for political reasons, and that's just flat wrong. So let me just state what I feel like you are implying and repudiate it. I have a strong record. I have a great commitment to this issue, and I am proud of what I've done and the progress we're making.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I just want to clarify what I was saying. No, I was saying that you maybe really believe this all along, but, believed in gay marriage all along, but felt for political reasons America wasn't ready yet and you couldn't say it. That's what I was thinking.
No, that is not true. It really is great how long you've supported gay marriage.
Yes.
I could have supported it sooner. Well, you did it pretty soon. Yeah. Could have been sooner. Fair point.
Just in July in New Hampshire, you told the crowd you, quote, take a backseat to no one when it comes to progressive values.
I take a backseat to no one when you look at my record and standing up and fighting for progressive values.
Last month in Ohio, you said you plead guilty to, quote, being kind of moderate and center. Do you change your political identity based on who you're talking to?
No, I think that like most people that I know, I have a range of views, but they are rooted in my values and my experience. I get accused of being kind of moderate, center. I plead guilty.
Just for the record, are you a progressive or are you a moderate?
I'm a progressive. Going through the emails, there were over 60,000 in total sent and received. About half were work-related and went to the State Department, and about half were personal, that were not in any way related to my work.
Speak to the public, you say, I turned over everything. That's, for the most part, a direct quote. When you talk to the public, you say, I turned over everything.
90 to 95% of my work-related emails were in the state system. If they wanted to see them, they would certainly have been able to do so.
You know what? That is maybe the 10th time you have cited that figure today.
It is.
And I have not heard anyone other than you ever cite that figure. Who told you that 90 to 95% of your emails were in the State Department system? Who told you that?
We learned that from the State Department in their analysis of the emails that were already on the system.
The Inspector General report found less than 1% of State Department emails, record emails, were captured. So they give a number of less than 1%, and you give a number of 90%.
I have absolute confidence that everything that could be in any way connected to work is now in the possession of the State Department.
This file represents the emails that you sent or received about Libya in 2011, from February through December of 2011. This pile represents the emails you sent or received from early 2012 until the day of the attack. There are 795 emails in this pile. We've counted them. There are 67 emails in this pile in 2012. And I'm troubled by what I see here. I can only conclude by your own records that there was a lack of interest in Libya in 2012.
The server contains personal communications from my husband and me.
Only time I got on the internet, I did 2 emails, and I ordered Christmas presents from a reservation. Otherwise, I
and a couple whores that you beat up and killed.
I mean, and how many angels dance on the head of a pin? I have really nothing to. I mean, how do you answer that?
I represented Wall Street as a senator from New York, and I went to Wall Street in December of 2007, before the big crash that we had, and I basically said, cut it out. Quit foreclosing on homes. Quit engaging in these kinds of speculative behaviors.
Now, who's exactly to blame for the housing crisis? I think there's plenty of blame to go around. Home buyers who paid extra fees to avoid documenting their income
Bullshit.
should have known they were getting in over their heads.
Bullshit.
Of course we have to deal with the problem that the banks are still too big to fail. We can never let the American taxpayer and middle-class families...
Oh, Hillary's a whore.
...the kind of speculative behavior that we
I'm
saw.
gonna slam that bitch right down on the dirty floor.
AIG, a big insurance
Make
company.
sure there's a big
Lehman
steaming
Brothers,
pile
an
there.
investment bank. There's this whole area called shadow banking. That's where the experts tell
well, all
me
these
the next
top
potential problems
contributors.
could come from. So I'm with both Senator Sanders and Governor O'Malley in putting a lot of attention onto the banks. And the plan that I have put forward would actually empower regulators to break up
He's a
big
good
banks.
Irish boy.
I represented New York, and I represented New York
He
on
likes
9/11.
Lucky Charms. They're
When
magically
we were attacked,
delicious.
where were we attacked? We were attacked in downtown Manhattan, where Wall Street is. I did spend a whole lot of time and effort helping them rebuild. That was good for New York, it was good for the economy, and it was a way to rebuke the terrorists who had attacked our country.
9/11 was bad.
I agree with that.
Time and time again, you hear one thing in speeches, and then you see a campaign that has the worst kind of tactics, reminiscent of the same sort of Republican attacks on Democrats. Well, I am here to say that it is not only wrong, but it is undermining core democratic principles. Since when do
Slavery, core democratic principles are enslaving people with welfare so they won't go out and get jobs. So you can get the vote, you blood-drinking whore. You are garbage, you are filth. I hope you die in a dirty bomb. And by dirty bomb, I mean Bill Clinton dumping in your mouth.
Democrats attack one another on universal health care.
I've looked at the legislation that Senator Sanders has proposed, and basically he does eliminate the Affordable Care Act, eliminates private insurance, eliminates Medicare, eliminates Medicaid, TRICARE, Children's Health Insurance Program.
Just because Senator Obama chose not to present a universal health care plan does not give him the right to attack me because I did. So let's have a real campaign. Enough with the speeches and the big rallies and then using tactics that are right out of Karl Rove's playbook. This is wrong.
You mean your
and
cousin?
Every Democrat should be outraged. The Democratic Party in the United States worked since Harry Truman to get the Affordable Care Act passed. So
No, you're lying. You're lying. Give me $10 and I'll give 8 to O'Malley. What will you do with the other $2? It's going to go to the Bernie Sanders gubernatorial fund. What else?
shame on you, Barack Obama. It is time you ran a campaign consistent with your messages in public.
Hillary Clinton's attempt to tout her foreign policy experience pounded her again on the campaign trail today.
I made a mistake in describing it.
She claimed she misspoke last week and was sleep deprived when she described landing under sniper fire in Tuzla, Bosnia, something that didn't happen. But CBS News has found several times in the past few months when Senator Clinton used the Bosnia trip to try to show her international experience. December in Iowa.
We landed in one of those corkscrew landings and ran out because they said there might be sniper fire. I don't remember anybody offering me tea on the tarmac when that was happening.
Then in February,
the welcoming ceremony had to be moved inside because of sniper fire.
And last week,
I remember landing under sniper fire. We basically were told to run to our cars. Now that is what happened.
Differing accounts of your trip to Bosnia, and I'm wondering if you can clarify. I know you recall ducking under sniper fire, and Sinbad in his account, who was on the trip, he said that the most dangerous part was remembering where he was going to eat next. Do you actually?
He's a comedian, you know, Jeff. He's a comedian.
So you actually recall, hearing gunfire? And
when we were flying into Bosnia, we came in a evasive maneuver. There was no greeting ceremony, and we basically were told to run to our cars. Now that is what happened.
After CBS News video showed what really happened when she landed and greeted officials, Senator Clinton maintained there were risks, but explained to the Philadelphia Daily News why she was
shaking the hand of a little girl. Hi, I'm a blood-drinking beast from the United States American Corporation political complex. Hi. Can we steal something from you or kill your family over here and then take a photo op?
Seen on the Bosnian tarmac greeting a young child if it was really so dangerous.
I was also told that the greeting ceremony had been moved away from the tarmac, but that there was this 8-year-old girl, and I said, well, I can't rush by her. I've got to at least greet her. So I greeted her, I took her stuff, and I left. Now that's my memory of it.
Good to see you. Once again, her memory doesn't match our videotape. She and her daughter Chelsea lingered on the tarmac to greet U.S. military officials. Took photos. There was the group of 7th graders on the tarmac, too. And then Senator Clinton walked to the armored vehicle where she did eventually duck and enter.
It was one of the highlights of President Clinton's first term, passage of the North American Free Trade Agreement, also known as NAFTA. Critics blame NAFTA for the loss of manufacturing jobs in industrial states, including Ohio and Pennsylvania. Hillary Clinton helped get NAFTA approved. She held at least 5 meetings to strategize about how to win congressional approval. She helped the White House block opposition from labor and environmental groups, and she was the featured speaker at a crucial meeting. Participants in that event said, quote, her remarks were totally pro-NAFTA. There was no equivocation for her support for NAFTA at the time.
You know, I have been a critic of NAFTA from the very beginning. My concerns about NAFTA expressed years ago have been well documented and verified. I didn't have a public position on it. I have spoken consistently against NAFTA. And if you look at what I have been saying, it has been consistent. I have been consistent. You can go back and look at from the very beginning. I was one of the voices in the administration warning about NAFTA.
You said it was good on balance for New York and America in 2004. And now you're in Ohio,
And your words are much different, Senator. The record is very clear.
Well, you don't have all the records because you can go back and look at what I've said consistently. Oh, I think that everybody is in favor of free and fair trade, and I think that NAFTA is proving its worth.
I think on balance, NAFTA has been good for New York and America.
Was NAFTA a mistake?
NAFTA was a mistake to the extent that it did not deliver on what we had hoped it was never supposed to.
Your opponents are saying that that's really part of a larger pattern with you, that you often avoid taking firm positions on controversial issues.
She farted or what? That's funny. That's nice. All right, so, she's a vile, vicious creature from hell. And we know that. But we can't just focus on the Clintons because we also have to focus on scumbags like John McCain. We have to focus on a lot of these liars. John McCain over there in the Middle East meeting with the people now that are ISIS head people. McCain photographs of him over there hanging out with these guys, and then of course they call them moderate rebels because they want you to believe that that there's people over there that need to oust Assad and that needed to oust Gaddafi. But the bottom line here is that these are funded by the CIA holes or the section of the CIA that is doing damaging, hurtful, awful things. There are good portions, but they're all compartmentalized so that not one part knows what the other part's doing. The FBI doesn't know what the FBI, FU and the A's, they are doing something over there too. And then there's it's a chaos. And then of course they bring the order from the chaos when they created the chaos in the first place. Problem, reaction, solution. It's been used throughout the years. It's been used, how do we get people to do something? How do we get people to think a certain way? Well, we create a crisis. They don't know that we created it. We know what the reaction's going to be. Someone help, someone do something. And what? Big government's there. Maybe we'll go to the people that we vote in to do something, okay? And then they don't really, they're puppets and they get moved around, and then ultimately the people that created the crisis get to offer the solution. They get to offer the solution. So it's just deception across the bizord. And if you haven't figured it out, if you're in your 20s, I get it. If you're in your 30s, I kind of understand. But if you're in your 40s and you've participated in this political process and you haven't figured out that it's all one gigantic fucking scam, then shame on you. And just in one word, damn, that you haven't been able to figure out that this is just leading the sheep to slaughter, leading the sheep to die for money interest, elite families, elite bloodline families. Obama related to George W. Bush, also related to Dick Cheney, and people would say, you must be out of your fucking mind. But no, it's on there, and I guess I should play it right now just to let me just play this, okay? Just so we're there's no misunder frickin' standing here, okay? CBS, Obama, Dick Cheney, and Bush related. Okay, let's go. Oh, here it is. Oh dear, let's listen. Take a listen, shall we?
So you're for Barack Obama?
No, but I thought I should admit this fact as
who knew you and Dick Cheney cousins?
Listen, I don't think I'm going to the family reunion. I don't know how I'll be greeted. But no, these folks have been doing all these genealogies on me, and they've found all sorts of strange connections.
No, not strange connections.
Listen, if you go back far enough, you got all kinds of
there's Georgie the Wash.
Early Show national correspondent Tracy Smith has the story of George W. Bush's many relations.
My honor to bring to you the 41st president, a great dad, George H.W. Bush.
We all know his father, but what about his cousins?
Oh dear.
Check out this family tree, done with research, Ancestry.com.
What would you say if I told you he's related to all of those people?
That you're wrong.
Oh,
That
no,
you're
I'm
wrong.
not. Let me take you
See?
through this, branch by branch.
Let's
The
go.
101st Airborne Division.
Let's just
aerosol.
go back a second, and I'll point
That
some of
you're
these
wrong.
out that they don't
Oh,
say.
no, I'm not. Let me take you through this, branch by branch.
Okay, so here we have Abraham Lincoln. We have Brad Pitt. There's Dick Cheney. There's Barack Obama. There's Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn. There's Princess Diana. Oh, and there's John Kerry, current Secretary of Defense. And then there's Vlad the Impaler. Remember that guy who used to impale people on fucking on pointy sticks? Let's listen. Let's give a listen.
The 101st Airborne Division. Air assault.
There we go.
Vice President Dick Cheney, the man who's only a heartbeat away from the presidency, is actually a blood relation. He's President Bush's 9th cousin once removed. Cheney's cousin Barack Obama is also Bush's 11th cousin, and the 9th cousin, Brad Pitt. But we're only just getting started. President Lincoln was President Bush's 7th cousin 5 times removed, and Bush shared more than just a ballot with John Kerry. That's right, cousins twice removed.
Why is that blanking out
With
on
John
YouTube?
Kerry. That's right, cousins twice
There you
removed.
go, cousins. That's all blanked
Bush's
out.
7th cousin 5 times removed, and Bush shared more than just a ballot with John Kerry. That's right, cousins twice removed.
Like 5th or 6th cousins.
Yeah, they have the same chin.
There's also royalty in the Bush bloodline. Princess Diana was Bush's 11th cousin twice removed.
It's all fucking royalty. It's all fucking royalty. And did I mention all fucking royalty?
And then there's this bombshell.
Happy birthday, Mr. President.
Sure, she may have been singing to JFK, but what about GWB? He is, after all, her 9th cousin.
I mean,
the eyebrows.
I listened to this just the other day, and this was, you could hear what number cousin they were. And today, it's being blanked out every fucking time the cousin, the number of the 6th, 7th, 8th, or whatever gets blanked out on YouTube here. Just saying.
They have the same eyebrows.
He's also related to Playboy founder Hugh Hefner, even Pocahontas, and Vlad the Impaler. Trace the family tree far enough, and you get Madonna, Celine Dion,
Tom Hanks.
Mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
It's like a genealogical box of chocolates. You never know who's going to be related, and then you find out that they're all connected. But then you talk to somebody about this, anyone really, and they're like, that couldn't be true. And then once you've got them, they're like, aren't we all related? Aren't we all related in some way or another? Yeah. I say, yeah, you're related to a fucking box of rocks because that's how fucking smart you are.
After all, genealogy can sometimes be like a box of chocolates. You never know who you're going to get.
So there's that. Let me see if I can pull another one because there's many of this particular one that are there and probably slowly going to be removed. Maybe this one will.
In my book, there's a lot of genealogical
This is
research,
Lynn Cheney.
going back, Dick's
The
family,
Cheneys
my
have two
family,
children.
these heroic and amazing tales of people who went west. But one of the things I discovered is that Dick and Barack Obama are 8th cousins. What? Is that an amazing thing? Yes, if you go back 8 generations, they have a common ancestor.
These spiritual beings have been ruling this planet through very specific...
Anyway, but most people can't even fathom that, but then you hit them with... ancient history, and they will literally, call you a crazy person rather than the normal reaction, which would be first, you're blown away by the fact that all these people are literally related, and then you shit your pants. And then you go crazy and then wipe it all over yourself. So the bottom line here is that we really have no clue as to what's going on in the world. Mostly those that do and think about it, I've done that. It doesn't make me better than anybody else. Doesn't make me better than you or better than, okay? It's just that, God damn it, open up your fucking eyes. There's no way that this whole thing would not be, manipulated to a point of absolute domination. There is no way that the domination of money, which has already been done, it's already been done from the Rothschilds, and their connection to the British royalty and their connection to so many different things, everything that we see, every story, every ancient this or that or whatever, has been manipulated and or completely turned around to benefit these particular people and what they've done to deceive us all. Okay? And if you can't fucking fathom that, then damn, like Florida from Good Times. Damn. Pick it up, learn the deception, understand that this is all bread and circus, from Super Bowl to these Republican debates where Donald Trump, who I kind of like, but how many times does he say eminent domain? And of course, George Bush brought up that he evicted the old lady from Atlantic City to build one of his casinos. So he kind of justified that in a certain way. I'm not so... but here's the bottom line. Hillary related to Donald Trump. Okay? The genealogy has been done. It's been done. Okay? It's been done. It's been done. Hillary is related to Angelina Jolie. Her father is John Voight, who's in one of the biggest shows on Showtime with... the mafia, not even the mafia family, but it's actually pretty good. But I just, I watched it for a little while and it got a little bit of addictive. And then I stopped watching it. And then I was just like, there's no reason to go back. Because it's the same thing every day. Somebody gets beat up, somebody gets shot, tits here, there, cocaine, running a prostitution ring. John Voight's running a prostitution ring. And what the fuck is the name of that show? Anyway, what is the name of that show? The lead guy in it is Jewish, but he's playing like an Italian or Irish. But anyway, it's just so ridiculous. So as I said, Angelina Jolie, look at her. I mean, she's attractive, but I mean, she's in general kind of creepy. Why would she be a big movie star? Because she's part of the family. Why would Barack Obama be related to Brad Pitt? And why would Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie be married? To proliferate the bloodline. Okay, and if you don't think that the bloodline is whatever, I mean, just hearing this should be enough for you to say, hey, maybe there's something going on. Or maybe the person delivering it, it's called an ad hominem attack. So let's read the ad hominem attack, okay? About 11:15, my friend Greg's going to come on. Should be an economist. He understands money and how money works. He worked on Wall Street, and he's also an oil man in processing and production. He's going to give us a state of the petroleum nation, and we're going to talk about oil and how they've lowered the price, and they're destroying they're basically destroying that. Which runs and makes everything happen. Petroleum and oil is in pretty much everything it's pretty much in everything. So we're going to talk to Greg. So ad hominem, let's see here. The ad hominem argument. Okay, an ad hominem argument is one that relies on personal attacks rather than rather than one's intellect or reason. So if my or someone's intellect or reason is under attack, they're not looking at the information, they're attacking the person, i.e. conspiracy theorists or let's play this here.
Ad hominem.
Ad hominem.
Ad hominem.
Ad hominem. So they attack people and they'll say something like, no harm done, conspiracy theorist, tinfoil hat, things like that. People that think, a lot of people throughout history that think outside the box. They're trying to shove everybody inside that circle, inside that box, so that they don't understand. They hit them with wars that never should have been, like Vietnam, World War I, World War II. All these wars were banker wars manipulated to create a specific outcome, a specific mindset, a specific geopolitical output. That's the way these things are done. And people think that, and my dad was in World War II. Okay, they took a portion of my father's life and his physical ability. He still was able to come back here and have 5 children. Okay, so my father did fight in a war, and a lot of these people's lives were defined by this war that never ever had to be. It never ever had to be. It was manipulated, and it was the people that were involved in it were manipulated. The people, just the whole thing. Now, whatever you think about that period of time, okay, 180 degrees in the opposite direction. The oppressed were the oppressors, and the oppressors were the oppressed. Either way, you switch it, okay? So anyway, the ad hominem attack is to attack the person instead of actually looking at the information or going in there to try to find out. Go in there, do your own research, try to prove somebody wrong about what they say. No matter how outrageous, maybe you'll fucking learn something. God bless you. God love you. Maybe you'll learn something. Anyway, so if you're going to sit there and say that, or if on this CBS report, okay, that George Bush is related to Abraham Lincoln, Vlad the Impaler, John Kerry. I mean, he's related to someone that he's running against for the presidency of the United States. Are you fucking serious? And then once it's proven, of course, what does the person say? We were all kind of related to somebody. Somebody fucked somebody here and somebody banged somebody over there. And they pop up here and there's George Bush. That's the kind of ridiculousness and stupidity and cluelessness that has gotten us into this situation in the first place, being dominated by a relatively small group of people. The many control the few control the many, and it doesn't take much. It takes a number of years and a number of different events and a number of different of course, mindsets that are created to be able to take people that once had a culture of family, had a culture of farming, providing for themselves. Disease was relatively, unheard of at certain points. I'm sure people died of certain diseases. But the body has what it needs to be able to get itself back from any disease, anything like that. But that's another thing that they don't want you to know. This family, bloodline, fuck it, the bloodline has created the medical system, the AMA, the ADA, and the ADA at one point decided, hey, let's just put mercury in people's mouths as fillings in their teeth. One of the most toxic substances known to man, let's put it in their mouth, okay? Damn, if you don't think that was done to fuck somebody up, and if it was a mistake, that was just an oversight, get a fucking clue. Get a goddamn clue. Seriously. Fucking please get a goddamn clue. All right, and that's just one, okay? The manufacturing of and the patenting of the Zika virus. I know that's over here at Blacklisted News. My friend Doug Owen, much better orator than myself, did his blacklisted news for a number of years on the platforms. I know it's in here. It was in there before. Let me see if I can do a search here on this incredible blog. Enter search Zika patent. Zika patent. Come on. I know you're there. I guess I'm blocking all this shit. Let me just type it here. Oop, I didn't do that. Zika patent. Maybe that's not available. It's not because it doesn't exist. It's because it is information that's coming out that the Rockefellers have patented the Zika virus, just like they patented Ebola as they were manipulating and creating bioweapons. That's been going on for a number of years, creating bioweapons. Oh, gee, what are they going to do with those? Okay. I hope we never find out. Let's go over some of these stories. Facebook's war on freedom of speech. Okay. Fukushima class disaster. LA gas leak spewing lethal levels of breathable nuclear material in a breaking development that has been completely ignored by mainstream news sources. You mean state-run, keep the public completely in the dark sources. The leaking natural gas well near Los Angeles, California, is reportedly spewing lethal levels of radioactive material, according to a report from Steve Quayle and a group with expertise in nuclear material. A leaking natural gas well outside Los Angeles is spewing so much naturally occurring uranium and radon that breathable radiation levels have hit lethal levels, according to a nuclear expert group. Now, what will happen in the near future is there will be it will be absolutely uncontainable, the story, and then there'll be something on 60 Minutes that'll say, why so many people waking up without lungs? I don't understand. He had lungs when he went to bed, and then his lungs were gone. He literally was breathing air into his prostate gland. So it's a mess. The NYPD is removing people from their homes who have never been convicted of crimes. A joint investigation published today by ProPublica and the New York Daily News shines light on the NYPD's enforcement of a little-known law that allows the department to kick people out of their apartments without charging them with a crime or even arresting them. This process, known as nuisance abatement, it is used almost exclusively against people of color. Holla. Most top officials in Texas town arrested by feds for corruption. I guess they were, believe it or not, they might be the good guys, because if the Fed is arresting them, they are being arrested by the real criminals. Okay. 180 degrees. Bill to end Operation Choke Point clears U.S. House of Representatives. A bill seeking to bring an end to Operation Choke Point, the government program launched in 2013 that seeks to disconnect certain businesses from the banking industry. Where else and when has that happened in the past? It got a boost this week as H.R. 766 passed the U.S. House of Representatives by a vote of 250 to 169. And that is people that sell guns, people that are doing things that, most people, oh, guns, we got to stop them. We got to stop them from selling the guns because as guns are going to end up in the ghetto, and then they're going to shoot people. The gun's just going to grow legs and walk and just start shooting people in the faces. Liberals, take the guns away. Take the guns. We don't need them. Yeah, well, I hope they kill you first, whoever has that mindset. Governor Rick Snyder's top officials knew of Flint water linked to disease surge 10 months before Snyder told the public. High-ranking officials in Michigan, Governor Rick Snyder's administration, were aware of the surge in Legionnaire's disease potentially linked to Flint's water long before the governor reported the increase to the public last month. Internal emails show when he disclosed the spike in Legionnaire's cases in January 13th, Snyder said he had learned about it just a couple of days earlier. If you're a governor in the great corporation of the United States, you're probably connected to the BL, the bloodline. But emails obtained by the liberal group Progress Michigan through public records requested and shared with the Associated Press show Snyder's office was aware of the outbreak since last March 2015. At the time, others in the administration were scrambling to respond to suggestions that bacteria in the city's new water source could be the culprit. After Obama signs Trans-Pacific Partnership and other, I guess maybe NAFTA on steroids, Sessions demands candidates reveal their position on trade deal. See, all these trade deals are meant to change United States corporation into the North American Union. We've already seen that. I've seen that name, on sci-fi shows, futuristic sci-fi shows at the very beginning. So they'll show you a city or something like that, and it'll say North American Union. Because ultimately, that's where everything is going. Like the European Union that was discussed 50 years ago, but a lot of people will believe that the mid-90s is when the talk started to create this European superstate. Not the case. It had been in play for decades. It's just that the people that they needed and the different events to take place, along with the Bilderberg meeting that takes place every year with the billionaires, 125 to 150 billionaires that David Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger, Bill Clinton was invited to in 1992. Oh, what's that? Oh, right before he was elected president. And, and who was also, by the way, a Rockefeller because his mother slept with Arkansas governor back in the day, because Rockefellers were always involved. They've always been involved in everything, and everything malicious. So it's all a blueprint. You can't understand the word conspiracy or not accept that conspiracies happen, that maybe a blueprint or an agenda that's being followed. But that's a conspiracy theory, too. All right, so the hidden legacy of 70 years of atomic weaponry, at least 34,000 Americans dead. All right, my guest has spoken a lot about that coming up in about 15 minutes, about some of the deceptions of nuclear of nuclear technology. We could have used it. It could have been contained a number of years ago and brought to the surface, but that would have freed us up energy-wise. But then they couldn't have fleeced us the way they have, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 100, 150, $200 a month for energy. There is technology out there that has been absolutely suppressed to fleece the shit out of you and your families and your family's family and the commoners, the rest of the fucking commoners, okay? Because that's how we're looked at, commoners, all right? So Byron Vajnor watched as a brownish sludge containing plutonium broke through the wall of his office on October 3rd, 1975, and began puddling 4 feet from his desk at the Savannah River nuclear weapons plant in South Carolina. The radiation from the plutonium likely started attacking his body instantly. He later developed breast cancer, and as a result of his other work as a health inspector at the plant, he'd also contracted chronic beryllium disease, a debilitating respiratory condition that can be fatal. There's also depleted uranium that has been scattered and dispersed all over Iraq, all over. I mean, there's any number of troops. And we know that the VA has totally turned their back on the troops. They're not getting treatment. There is a reason for that. It's not just a fucking oversight, okay? It's not an oversight. It's not an oversight. And did you fucking hear what I said? It's not an oversight. So a lot of these veterans have been exposed to depleted uranium, and it has destroyed their bodies and or killed them, okay? So these are other stories that you absolutely positively hear nothing about on the mainstream media, because that's where everybody goes to get their news that lies to them. They're comforting their comfort zone. See, it's called comfort zone entertainment. Okay? Comfort zone entertainment. Okay? And this whole Zika thing is a way to cover up for what the real cause of all these birth defects are. Okay? And I'm going to get into that later, maybe not today, but I'm going to do some more research. But Rockefeller has, in fact, and indeed, patented the Zika virus. And they've been modified, these mosquitoes, to do exactly what they're doing. But it's all deception. It's all deception. Controlling the news media, basically worldwide, can have people believing that the moon is a big gray and dark, turd that is eventually going to detach from its atmosphere and slam like a turd into a toilet bowl. Let's see. Texas Appeals Court slams forced DUI blood draw. There's been any number of times over the last number of years that people have just been pulled over and had their blood taken. I guess it's not enough for a breathalyzer anymore. Can we get a stool sample too? I'm like, I'll give you a fucking stool sample. You fucking garbage person. Ukraine, another $5 billion spent to destabilize the Ukrainian region, and with Russia, eastern Ukraine being more Russian, and so it's all, you take these things that have happened that they've actually created over the years, and then they create all this, they destabilize every area. They destabilize every area of the world and take over, implement, and put in their own crooked scumbag leaders, and people die. And people will continue to die until that whole area is dominated completely. And I don't know whether Putin's in on it or whatever, but a lot of people want to believe in Vladimir Putin. Who knows? Who knows what he's about? He's over there bombing ISIS into smithereens, something that Obama and his administration have not been able to do. So, I mean, if that is in fact happening or not, it's very, very disturbing. A lot of the things, and that's why people steer away. That's why people steer away from news. They steer away from the comfort zone media because they don't want to believe they'll dismiss any story that they did not hear on these outlets. CBS is bringing you the Super Bowl. They're going to be bringing you all the commercials, all the, just be aware. We do not live in a free society. We do not live in a transparent society, and it's not to keep us safe and keep us from worrying. It's to completely and totally deceive you in every way, shape, and form, like the Affordable Care Act. Da-da-da-da-da-doo. 153 million in Bill and Hillary Clinton speaking fees documented. Goldman Sachs. In total, the two gave 729 speeches. Like I would just people thinking that they are relevant in any way, shape, or form is just disgusting to me. Just like the Bushes and the Obamas. I mean, it's an absolute farce. It's an absolute farce. 729 speeches from February 2001 until May, receiving an average payday of $210,000 for each address. The two also reported at least $7.7 million for at least 39 speeches to big banks that Hillary is so against, including Goldman Sachs and UBS. I'm good. More coffee, please. Yeah, I do. Indeed, I do. Indeed, I do. Indeed, I do. Thank you. Collecting at least $1.8 million for at least 8 speeches to big banks. I want to talk a little bit about Chris Christie. Just a big thug bully. Every time he opens his mouth, 7 years as a federal prosecutor, throwing people in jail for finding a pot seed, a marijuana seed. He made that statement. We're going to just throw him in and find a seed, just throw him in. He is part of the problem. The prison industrial complex, this fake legal system, this bar association cult that is really destroying. We know that lawyers are pretty much kind of destroying the country. Whether they're helping people or whether they're hurting people, in general, it all comes out of the taxpayer's wallet. And, sorry, I don't want to be offended. Purses and wallets, okay. Purses and wallets. Don't attack the messenger. Don't attack the messenger, man. It's not cool. It's not trendy, man. Risking World War III in Syria, Defense Secretary Ashton Carter, bloodline person, I'm sure, last October said in a little noticed comment that the United States was ready to take direct action on the ground in Syria. Vice President Joe Biden said in Istanbul last month that if peace talks in Geneva failed, the United States was prepared for a military solution in that country. The peace talks collapsed on Wednesday even before they began. A day later, Saudi Arabia said it is ready to invade Syria while Turkey is building up forces at its... World War III has already started, folks, okay? Okay? You don't hear any of this information. You don't know. That's why they said little noticed comment that in the United States corporation was ready to take direct action on the ground. And of course, when women are fighting in the military, I don't call it boots on the ground. I call it boobs on the ground. Boobs on the ground. Which once a society, a destructive, damaging society starts putting women in harm's way, even if they want to go over there and fight, it's really, the Rubicon's already been passed. Okay. America is on a downhill spiral. Whatever you want to believe, whatever you choose to believe, it's on a downhill spiral. The slippery slope has been ascertained. It's going down, 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 like the Bruce Springsteen song. Okay, so like that's what's happening in Nightmerica. I got pull Greg in about 5 minutes. I'm staring here at a decadent breakfast sandwich. Chicago cops retire to dodge punishment, collect six-figure pensions. Chicago police officers implicated in a wake of political scandal within the Chicago Police Department, or CPD, have retired, dodging disciplinary action while holding on to pensions worth more than $100,000 a year. The Chicago Sun-Times reported nearly 2 months ago, Mayor Rahm Emanuel, such a great leader, by the way, so great for America. His administration received a report from the Office of Chicago Inspector General Joe Ferguson that advocated for discipline, including termination for 6 police officers. That and more over at blacklistednews.com. Blacklistednews.com. Bat. Chicago Stock Exchange says it's being sold to Chinese, a Chinese-led group. The Chicago Stock Exchange said a Chinese investor group agreed to acquire it, giving the buyer entry into intensely competitive U.S. equity market. Chongqing Kassin Enterprise Group has signed a definitive agreement to acquire the company, according to a statement Friday. The deal values the Chicago Stock Exchange at less than $100 million, according to a person familiar with the matter. Another suspect line, who asked to not be identified because the terms weren't disclosed publicly. The exchange expects the deal to close in the second half of the year. Perfect timing. Though that will require regulatory approval. Regulation. I call it the regulation masturbation. All right, UK wants authority to serve warrants in the U.S. We're just one big world government now. Are you a global citizen? I'm a global citizen. Are you global? I'm global. I'm global citizen. I love being part of planet Earth government zone. I've been loving this. I got a good education at a local school that was defunded. I sat on the floor. They couldn't afford death no more. I love being a global citizen. I love being part of the collective. I want to be the collectives. It's better that way. Bernie Sanders is going to give me some money. He's going to give me the money that Barack Obama didn't give me. See, that's how it's going to happen. Bernie's going to come in, I am going to get this here, and then I'm going to give that over to you, and then you're going to give that back to me, and then I'm going to take from Hillary, and I'm going to take it, I'm going to put it in my back pocket, and then you're going to reach in there and you're going to take it out. And then you're going to take it and you put it in your back pocket. But you're going to leave about $10 in there for my processing, for my pants processing, see? And that from there, that's where we're going to go. I'm Bernie Sanders. I'm Bernie Sanders. Hey, how you doing? I'm your Uncle Bernie. Don't listen to Hillary, and Trump's a douchebag. I'm going to get you. I'm going to be on SNL. I'm going to be on SNL with Larry David, and we're going to be on there, and we're going to make jokes about socialism, is what we're going to do. I'm Larry David. I'm Bernie Sanders. Libasm. Damn, that sausage. That organic sausage is good, man. I like me some organic sausage, man. That's some good shit, man. I love eating some of that organic sausage, making some of that, you know what I'm saying? Let's see if I can Greg here. I'm eating in your ear. I'm eating all damn year. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm eating in your ear. I'm eating in your ear. Okay, there he is. I'm eating in your ear. I'm eating all damn year. At the call. Hello. Is anybody there? This is Bernie Sanders. Do I have your vote? Maybe I didn't add. Hello? Is this Bernie? I mean, I'm Bernie. Do I have your vote?
Oy vey, you want my vote?
Did you see me? Did you see me on SNL with Larry David? You couldn't tell us apart. You just couldn't. You couldn't. Well, let's not talk Jew stuff because we'll get labeled. Greg, welcome. Greg,
welcome. Glad to be here.
All right. And Greg, as I said, he's in production and process of oil. He also worked on Wall Street. He understands how money works for us and against us. Is that correct? Is that accurate to say?
Yeah, I'm a student of life. Let's put it that way.
He is a student of the Zen master.
We try. And I'm, super blessed to have met a number of people. When you start to critically think and start to act on that critical thinking, you find other critical and people that understand things, and then you learn from them. And I can't say that you learn anything from me because this is really just a bunch of balderdash coming out of my mouth. Most people would say. But what is the state of oil? I guess we got about 45, 50 minutes or something. No, let me see. What do we got? We got about 40 minutes. How can you break it down and put us where we are at this point in time right now and how we got here? Well, it's very big, complex, but oil is in serious trouble. The oil industry is in serious trouble, mainly because of the issuance of debts and credits for unconventional drilling, and based on meeting world demand for it. And what had happened is that with populations, aside from third world countries, particularly Africa, in decline, and this includes China, India, Europe, the United States, Brazil, all of the Russia, all of the first world countries in serious population declines and automation and improved efficiencies. That when we had the recession, the Great Recession back in 2008, 2009, in order to get the world economy to go into in order to prevent it from going into a complete tailspin, they needed to create the demand for oil as well as various other commodities, copper, iron ore, gypsum, timber, you name it, all the raw materials that we're dependent upon for all the goods and services we use. And China was the source of that demand. But it was all built on an illusion. It was built on the issuance of a massive issuance of debts and credits to the tune of over $50 trillion. And like everything that goes up, it must come down. It doesn't last forever. And so what we're experiencing now is that we have a massive slowdown because of easy money and credit. That supported the prices that would have, if you recall, back in 2008, 2009, the price of oil collapsed down to $35 a barrel from its peak of nearly $150 a barrel in early 2008. It actually reached $148 a barrel. And there was talk that oil would go to $200 a barrel. But this was never possible because, you could never run our economy at $6-7 a gallon for gasoline.
Exactly.
And it just wasn't going to work. So, but it was already known back at that point that China didn't have very much left in its tank,
as far as its growth potential. But what they were doing is they were building ghost cities. They built over 200 ghost cities in China. Cities where very few people live. And it was build it and they will come. And it sort of created a giant make-work project on a global basis, really.
Knowing that, do you actually think that they planned on populating those ghost cities?
Well, they had hoped. They're a country with over 1 billion people.
Right.
That they could take the migrant farmers out in the migrant farming land and move them into the cities for production, and American consumers would continue to buy. Right. But a funny thing happened on the way. Which is always the fly in the ointment, is that it would have worked, but we would have had a growing labor force here in the U.S., which means that I don't know how you do that without manufacturing. If every trade deal you issue is going to siphon jobs in manufacturing out of the United States. So we have a falling labor market, and replacing good-paying, productive jobs with menial service jobs, waiters and waitresses, working for franchise establishments.
Right.
Get $7.50, $8 an hour, $10 an hour, whatever it might be, and that can't support, those type of wages can't support a household here.
So actually, Bernie Sanders was kind of telling the truth there when he said that the paying jobs are that there's no salary increases, people, and that goes in the opposite of what China was hoping that would happen. When they built the ghost cities, and then that's what I guess that what I'm saying is that's what happens when you create a global economy with trade, and then you have people that are actually destroying and kind of destroying the process, that if everything worked the way it should and things were being done properly and beneficially, it would have kind of ended well across the board. Is that right?
Yeah, it would still be going, but you can't have infinite growth. It's an impossibility. The demand for resources can't meet the demand for supply, and then you get a slingshot effect, a backlash, where you go from a very high level of demand that the floor drops out, and all of a sudden the demand just so you build up production capabilities like oil and timber and iron ore, and what you wind up with is massive amounts of surplus, based on the demand model. And that's where we are now with oil and other commodities. It's not that we have too much oil in the market. Production and manufacturing around the world is declining because we have such a surplus. We have overcapacity in nearly everything. We have overcapacity in labor. We have overcapacity in goods. It's just sitting there. And you can't make money when you have surplus. Surplus causes depreciation, causes deflation. And deflation is people are looking to in an environment where everything is in great surplus and demand. People are looking to get it at discount. Pennies on the dollar. Get rid of your inventory. Keep production moving forward. That's why we see oil prices as low as they are now. Mm-hmm. Is because even though they claim that the world economy is growing, we all know that they fudge the numbers. Mm-hmm. And every country is doing it. The U.S. is guilty, if not more guilty, than China in their GDP projections. They keep they're telling us all through the news and the talking heads that GDP is growing. We got the strongest economy in the world. When in reality, if you take it by the old ways they drew up GDP numbers 20 years ago, we would be in negative territory, and we have been ever since 2008. There hasn't been any further decline, but there hasn't been any growth either. But we did see a massive increase after 2010 in the dry Baltic rate. Right. International shipping had spiked quite a bit, so that gave the false illusion. But that was all based on the easy money that was being generated through the central banks. And I'm afraid they're out of bullets. I think right now we're at a point where there's not much they can do other than buy up whatever toxic assets are out there, and it's a lot. We're talking close to $50 trillion in U.S. dollar-denominated debt. We're talking about the bond market. Right. That has to be rolled over before the end of this year and early 2017. And there's just it's a challenge. It's a challenge for the central banks to try and put a plug the hole in this dam. Now, can they do it? They might be able to do it one more time. I'm not saying I didn't think they could do it back in 2009, 2010. It's surprising.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, so overall, for any new listeners or anybody that would listen to this program in the future, is the downturn of the crisis that we saw happen in 2008, Lehman Brothers and a number of things, was this something that just was an accident? Like we were really crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's, and people that just couldn't afford their homes, or they were working in a store and they couldn't afford the homes. I mean, is that not like one of the biggest friggin' lies that one of the lies that people bought homes, the mortgage crisis, that was more of a red herring to all of the other damaging things that were done to the economy with the respect to Glass-Steagall, which Clinton and his friggin' goons deconstructed, and then investment and commercial banking in the mid 90s or mid to late 90s just slammed together. And then, of course, the fraud of 9/11.
Well, they knew that with the end of at the turn of the century, back in 2000, that we were coming to the precipice of our system, our debt-backed financial monetary system. The U.S. dollar Inc. was reaching the precipice of its power.
And we are a corporation, and we are run like a corporation.
Exactly.
So, people are seen as livestock, and their taxes are that of meat or milk that comes from animals.
Pretty much. That's the fruit.
Right.
Right. The fruit is generated through the tax benefit. Remember, the government is just a trade association for the landowners.
The real landowners, the real owners of the United States of America Corporation.
Right. In itself, is it a corporation? It's a form of a corporation. It's a trust.
The Electoral College that we hear about so often.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. They really, in a sense, kind of determine, because I said probably about a half hour ago in the CBS, well, they said it in the report and I reiterated it, that when Bush and Kerry in 2004, when they were running for president, they were fucking cousins. Not screwing each other, but they were cousins.
They're fucking cousins. Oh my God.
Cousins. But I call them Frankenstein. Fireman. But they are cousins.
Yeah, they're blood relatives.
They're blood relatives. That's right.
They're part of posterity.
And their blood and Barack Obama is of a blood relative to Dick Cheney and George W. the Bushmaster,
and the Queen of England and George Washington and all the rest of them.
See that I brought that point to the surface, even on Janai.com, which is a very, very better than Ancestry.com. And it showed person by person, from George Washington to Barry Dunham, which is his real name, Barry Dunham. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, he changed his name to Barack Obama because that's his legal fiction. He does not have a Social Security card because he is not a commoner.
No.
He is not a commoner. You have a social security number. I do. Jack the dog doesn't. Over here, waiting for the next piece of sausage to hit the ground. But basically, we're him. We're Jack the dog, waiting for he's just sitting there like, I don't care how pathetic I look. If you don't throw some sausage down here on the ground, I'm going to whimper all day long. Because I want
exactly.
So we are commoners. Barack Obama is not a commoner. And I don't know so much about George W. Bush or Bill Clinton, but I mean, we know that the Rockefellers own Arkansas, and one of the Rockefeller brothers or family members have made time with Bill Clinton's mother, and then Billy popped out and said, hey, we can make this guy president because he'll do whatever we fucking say because he's our little bitch.
Pretty much.
And that's why, if you look at the Clinton Chronicles, if you Google Clinton Chronicles, watch the documentary it's like an hour, maybe hour and a half, you'll see all the fucking things, all the awful things that should have landed both of these maggots in fucking jail. They should be laying in the bottom of a jail cell, Hillary and Bill, but they're fucking murderers with a free ticket to walk the planet in a free manner. And now this bitch is vying for the president of the United States, and she lied. They played a clip where she lied for 13 fucking minutes. On top of a blues song that I played some guitar licks to. So I made it. But anyway, yeah, I just want to interject a little bit of that. So where you were talking about, pardon me, but continue from where. You know how I'm staggered and scattered I'm like a fucking my thoughts are like a fucking carpet bomb. Like a fucking pipe bomb, just shrapnel flying everywhere. But I'm a conspiracy theorist, by the way. Nice to meet you.
The world we live in is it's in flux. It's changing. It's changing at a rapid rate.
Right.
And this is not the first time that this has happened. This has happened many times before. I'll say it again. And I say this every time that we do a show.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to understand what we're talking about, it's a good idea to go and read Gustavus Myers,
right?
The history of great American fortunes.
And you don't even have to read it, right? The audiobooks are on YouTube.
Yeah, there's a guy, fileandclaw.wordpress.com, that has made, and I love his voice. He's got this really deep voice, and he does the reading and interjects. It's a good idea to read along with it because it goes right back through history, through the formation of the colonies, and who the aristocrats were who were given the title, the Virginia Company, for example. Okay, how it led to the formation of the states, and what it was really all about. And you realize this whole thing was based upon piracy. And then going forward a little bit to Richard Pettigrew, who was the first senator from South Dakota that served in the U.S. He served as a congressman for the Dakota Territories from right after the Civil War. And later in life, and he was discredited at the time that he served because he was a common guy who started talking about how the land grants were given to the railroad interests and to the steel industry, the Fords, the Carnegies, the Rockefellers, because real wealth is in the land. And who's going to own the Western territories as they were opening up?
And let me interrupt you real fast. I've been told on the History Channel that they say the men who made America, and it would be Rockefeller and things like that. So they tell a story of how if it weren't for these guys, America wouldn't be what it is today. And there's truth to that, right? But at the same time, they subverted it, and they've used it as the pirate cove that it is.
Sure, and what pirates hate is competition. The biggest enemy to pirates are other pirates.
Right.
That's what war is all about. They're fighting over. They want dominance. So, in my opinion, and it's a theory, after reading Pettigrew, that the Civil War was less to do about states' rights as who was going to control the Western territories. People were already starting to migrate westward.
Right.
And when they go and stake a claim and fight off the native Indians and stake a claim to a territory, there could be vast sums of wealth there. There could be gold, there diamonds, oil, iron ore. There's water rights. There's agriculture. The powers that be, the Eastern British elite, the Rockefellers, okay, the Carnegies, the Wahlbergs, the Dunhams, they weren't going to stand for having that wealth be the claim and the stake to that wealth be just given to commoners.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you had to get the commoners to go out under a certain condition. So they had to change the rules of the land. They had to create the legal fiction that was the 13th and the 14th Amendment, and then allow the commoners to then migrate out, and then you can dole out the properties to these big corporate, industrial leaders and giants, the landowners of the East. Grant them the land rights, and then they can parcel it off and sell it as they see fit, and they would have first dibs at any mineral rights or any value of the land first.
Let me read this real fast. This is from Abraham Lincoln, because he was integral in this period of time that you're speaking about. He said, my paramount object in this struggle to save the Union and is not either to save or destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing all the slaves, I would do it. And if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. What I do about slavery and the colored race, I do because I believe it helps to save the Union. And what I forbear because I do not believe it would help to save the Union. I shall do less whenever I shall believe what I am doing hurts the cause, and I shall do more whenever I shall believe doing more will help the cause. So today, if that exact phrase was put out there right now, people would be like, well, I thought he did all this to free the slaves. But it was all about saving the Union, and of course the people that controlled him saving the Union. Now, in contrast with what you were talking about and what he just said there, does that kind of connect in what you were talking about with the West? Because saving the Union would also enable them to dominate the western areas of the New World.
Well, what was the Union? The Union was the confederacy of landowners in the various states. Now, if they opened up and created a whole new class of all these commoners going out west, all right, and laying stake and claim, then, yeah, the current association of team owners, okay, because it's just like the NFL, would be diluted, and the competition could be, because the fear is that the real wealth of this nation, of this continent, lay in the West.
Right.
That's where they would find gold. That's where they would find silver.
And they would lose control of the dominance that they wanted to have then, and then eventually what we see in the dominating now, because Barack Obama is there to save the Union, okay? And he's using divide and conquer. He's using all these things, but ultimately he answers to this bloodline, the landowners that dominate at the Electoral College, the whole deal. So America does not work politically the way that they say that it does. And there's a whole lot of stupid fucking assholes out there that just buy into it and believe it. And I never really thought a whole lot about it. As I said to you many times, I was always kind of, I was never really, in that circle. I just always, I was just like, I don't understand what's going on there. School is bullshit, all this other stuff.
And if you think too about the definition of the legal, all right, not the dog English or the dog Latin meaning of the word slave, but the real legalism definition of the word slave, what Lincoln said was perfectly spot on. If he had to free the slaves to save the Union, he would do that. Well, he did. He freed the slaves and put them into a serf contract. into a serf franchise.
Right.
Where we all became of equal status. Right.
Equal in slavery.
Equal in slavery, equal in serfdom. And we went from having rights as a man.
Right. And it's like
member of the family of man to having civil rights.
It's really like an example of No Child Left Behind, right? That was implemented during the George W. Bush administration. It was like these people that can't understand and have been probably shot up with fucking devastating vaccines that have all kinds of mental, neurological things that have fucked them up. That's really the reason why that most of them can't understand or learn. And then if you got the ones that might not have been affected, but you've got the people that excel way past these people. So instead of giving the not so smart the help to bring them up, No Child Left Behind was, let's bring everything down to the level of the child that may have been left behind. And so what they did with the slavery is that he brought it down. It was like no slave left behind, or however you want to put it. It was more of like a leveling where they deceived and created voluntary slavery.
Exactly.
And a contract that
voluntary servitude.
Voluntary servitude is right.
Voluntary servitude is the word, and those are the exact words in the amendment. There shall be no involuntary servitude. So they create the environment for people to voluntarily volunteer for their own servitude.
Right.
And that's what they've done. And in exchange for their volunteerism, they receive certain benefits and privileges. But those are not rights. Rights are only granted to the landowners. We only receive civil rights and privileges, which are not inalienable.
Can give anyone else rights. I mean, I can't get together with you and say, Bob is allowed to do this, but he's not allowed to do that. Because Bob would be like, I don't know, I'll probably get my ass kicked, but you know what? I'm going to fight both of you because you're telling me what I can and cannot do, right? Mm-hmm. But how does Congress get the right to be able to make rights and laws over all of us? It's literally, basically, I mean, they're the smaller group, but they get to make rules. And it's always what? For our own good and our own safety as they enslave us in our little box of ignorance.
Well, Congress, being equivalent to the House of Commons, is supposed to be the voice of the commoners to the aristocrats to address because, and the reason why they set up a House of Commons, generally, initially after the Magna Carta, was that controlling the commoners and keeping them from uprising and overthrowing the aristocracy and killing them, hanging them from a tree.
Yeah, making the commoners think that they have a voice by voting people in that are make it seem like they're.
It's a good idea. I mean,
sure.
People that you do have to control, who are if you're going to constantly trample on people's. On people's lives, and eventually they're going to rise up against you and say, no, we're not doing this. And you need to, the wealth of your territory is dependent upon what can be produced there.
Indeed.
Okay, unfortunately, I believe what the landowners here in the U.S. are doing is they believe that we could be the cornerstone of financial services for the rest of the world. The problem with financial services is it's not based on anything. It's paper pushing. Nobody produces anything.
That's right.
If you look at the TPP, which was just signed this week, when this goes into full effect, we're probably going to lose another 4 to 10 million jobs here. Because it's in exchange for, we'll give you more of our productive capability. We'll outsource more of our production to you so you can create jobs for your commoners, right? You could create that inner peace and and get more control over your commoners, what we want in exchange for is we want to be able to go in there and sell them insurance. We want to sell them a whole plethora of financial services, which is just stealing off the fruits of their labor by creating, this whole illusion that, they can save for their retirement. And that siphons potentially billions of new customers for, 401k investments, for pension funds, for other type of things. That they pull this money, then find ways to do their skims and everything else. It's, but unfortunately, unfortunately for them, fortunately for us as commoners, is we're coming to the end of this. And I think that the aristocracy even knows this. It doesn't work without production, and right now, world trade is in collapse. This week, the Baltic Dry Index, which is shipping worldwide, fell below 300. It has never been that low.
And so what happens to a country, given all those parameters? What happens to a superpower when all that falls apart? What happens to the superpower?
Well, the only thing you can do at that point is to start over. And the best way to do that is to destroy your overcapacity, your labor and your productive overcapacity.
Can superpower continue to be a superpower?
Sure.
But
sure.
Really,
there is no such thing. That's also an illusion. Superpower. What's a superpower?
Well,
that's a joke.
America. I've said any number of times, America had to be created, and then also at the same time, slowly manipulated, slowly, changed to the point where it can be used to loot the rest of the world. We know that the Vatican. The Crown, we've got the Vatican, the spiritual leg. We've got the City of London, which is the financial crimes capital of the entire globe. And then you've got the world police, Team America, fuck yeah, here in Washington, D.C., which is a city-state, which is absolutely has no connection, really. It's almost like it's not even part. It's kind of part of planet.
It's the home base. It's the home base for all of the citizens, for the commoners. See, you're not a resident. You're only a resident of New Jersey. You're not a citizen. You're a resident, but you're a U.S. citizen.
But when if I buy a home and then I pay that home off, I own that land, right? I mean, that's mine. That's my land.
No.
What? Seriously?
You own the title, indeed. You own the land rights,
right? Stop
Okay.
the taxes, and they'll come and shove a frick.
Sure. If you had pure loyal title and you were not paying any property tax, then they can't come and take it from you. But
they send the commoners that think that they have authority over the other commoners when they're actually just commoners. They're known as police, and they will come. And this legal system, which is an absolute joke, this cult of this bar association, which was obviously created to control the commoners and any number. I mean, Clinton has gone into that on any number of different levels. They're here to say, hey, listen, you stop paying your taxes, and if you get out of line, we're gonna fucking rape your soul. So either pay up or get off this property that you basically bought that should be yours, but now because you stopped paying the taxes, which is in fact slavery and theft, now we're going to take it, and it's like you never had it. It's like you never put a cent into this land or this home. We're going to take it. It no longer belongs to you. That doesn't seem fair to me, but that's the way they've created it. And we're free, by the way, on top of that, to put a little cherry on top.
We have our freedom in the franchise.
Freedom in the franchise. Yeah.
Freedom in the franchise. And look, all this, if they had not tried to do this system on a global basis,
right,
and kept it within, and a lot of this was because of international influences among the aristocracy.
Right.
All right. And so the cast was died on this a long time ago, and but some of them are going to lose. These people don't like to lose.
Nope.
It's a game of musical chairs. So that means some people are going to wind up on their keisters. Some of the aristocracy. Who that's going to be, nobody wants to be that one. So they're going to resist. They're going to make it difficult for the others. And if that means exposing them and creating strife, they'll do that. Because they're all in competition with each other. They're all friends, but yet they're all in competition with each other at the same time.
That's right.
So where we go from here, I believe can they fix this problem that we're dealing with now? Do another bailout, buy us another 7 years? Perhaps. What my feeling is, probably they will not be able to.
And so on the menu, to distract from the fact that everything financially is falling apart, what is the next legitimate for them? What's the next step? War. Right? We still got you? Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, I have to jump here in about 5 minutes, but I could get back with you in about 10 or 15 minutes.
I mean, I'm done here in about 9 minutes, but
oh, you are? Okay.
Yeah, it's 10.
Yeah, no, the next step is that's it. The next step is war. You have to eliminate the overcapacity.
And so knowing this, a product of the deception, a product of the theft and the abuse that most people have no idea is going on and accept it because, we're free. They're going to create, they're going to add a new chapter to the movie, which will be the Third World War, which is already, for all intent and purposes, already underway with Saudi Arabia threatening to go into Syria, and then, of course, Turkey planning to take a shit on the Syrian, country as well.
Right.
Which Turkey's already trained ISIS and all these other groups and everything. Yep, sorry, everybody. ISIS is a created group that has been is being used to geopolitically and so many other different aspects of all of our lives and all of our perceptions. It's being used to deceive and destroy, and ultimately.
That's right. Shali, I have to jump right now.
Okay, Greg, thanks for being on. I'll be in touch with you a little bit later today, and we're trying to get back on track with these podcasts. I was like Grandpa Simpson last night. Yeah. Right. But anyway, Greg, have a great day. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll be talking about that tonight, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
And have a great day, man. Good luck.
All right. There. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right. So, that was, another enlightened individual. Again, we're not better than anyone else because we understand the situation. We understand what situation that the entire world is in, which does not get reported. So, in fact, all most people are doing is thinking about the Super Bowl, and of course the Puppy Bowl, and then of course commercial, a Palooza. It's just very interesting, and some people might say, oh, that's just so negative. Why would you do it? Hey, let's talk about reality. Okay. Let's talk about reality. Let's understand why we're here. A lot of people ask that question. Why are we here? What are we doing here? What is our purpose here? Well, while you were trying to figure that out, somebody said, we're going to make these fuckers commoners, and we're going to fucking live off them like a parasite and tick drinks the blood out of its host. And that's what you are. In and of all the other things that you think that you are, and that you probably are. Which is a good human being that's just been misled. You've just been misled by those. I think Agent Smith said it. Choice is an illusion created by those in power against those without. It's that simple. It's not a really hard equation to figure out. It's not a differential equation. Where y equals question mark and z equals 1. It's all about just sitting back and observing and saying, and or coming to the realization that it's all bullshit and it's bad for you. And not just, in a small, minute, bad for you way. Life-altering way. Economic destruction, death, dismemberment, manufactured viruses that at some point, if they decide, maybe they drop it on your mama. They're going to drop it on your mama. Let's end this one with a song, shall we? Surely. They're gonna drop it on your mama. They're gonna drop it on your papa. They're gonna drop it on your bro. You're gonna drop it on your sister. They're gonna take you to the show. They're gonna call your mama hoe. Then you're gonna say, hey, that wasn't nice to say. You better not call my mama hoe, 'cause there's something you should know. I am not your slave now. I'm not your cattle. You're gonna take my taxes and send me down to Texas. You're gonna steal my goat. You're gonna steal my chicken. And you're gonna steal my goose. You know, the one who lays the golden eggs. You're gonna steal the goose. They're gonna take it all from you. Oh, they're gonna give you football. They're gonna give you football. They're gonna give you sports. That's all you're gonna talk about. Ham Newton, he is the next quarterback of the ages. I call him Ham, 'cause he's a big fucking showboat. If he pulled that Ham act on the field and I was a linebacker, I would crush Superman Ham after the whistle blew. That's what the Arizona Cardinals should have done.
Put the MK scope on ya. If the MK hits you, it's guaranteed to open ya. The 57mm Mark 110, 220 rounds a minute, try to stop them. Don't put that on your wish list, that's retarded babble. Protesters make the hit list soon as they start to rabble. They are nothing but fishes in the barrel. It doesn't have to be Christmas for a carol. Some decorate with ornamental decorum. Some perform Shakanar on Hanukkah and Purim. That's where my job come in. I am a blessing to the mercenary for the corporation selling weapons to them. Any potential competitor step into them. I'm authorized to knock them out and stick a GPS into them. They want to sell uranium to Iran that's enriched. That's a bitch. Now we gotta teach you lessons.
This is JJ Inc. from Against the Wall, and you're listening to UCY.TV.